As taught to separate actively. To mention your class, this life we all learn like academy. I'm trying to shine in the darkness. I had to find where my heart is. Okay, we working here, okay. What is going on, Kingdom? So today I am back with another video, another preaching video today. Today I'm going to be speaking about something that is a bit of a controversial topic, but I think it's important for us to put our perspectives and outlooks on this, to try and make a positive change, to try and make a positive, impact on those that may be, slightly not very open-minded towards these certain topics, right? Even if it may seem a little bit controversial, this is what I do. I try to make an impact. I try to put down impact and try to put my heart into these messages that I speak about. So today I'm going to be talking about something, that's kind of been in the media. I'm not going to speak too much about where it's coming from. I mean, we know Kanye's been talking about it, throughout the time, and I just want to bring this out here because it's important, right? So listen, besides what Kanye been saying, even, and besides any organizations or what's behind, I'm talking about the statements here today. Today I'm not really going to be talking about organizations like the organization of Black Lives Matter or the organization of all that. I don't truly know what's behind the organizations or the corporations or whatever's truly behind that, because a lot of the time these corporations truly don't really have the best interest, whether you're trying to do something good or not. They will honestly sometimes try to enslave you to their process of managing to get money, right? So that is something that could happen in the organizations or corporations. You know what I'm saying? In my honest opinion, that could be going on with certain with certain corporations, right? But I'm going to be talking about the statements here. So this is going to kind of be more about the statements of Black Lives Matter, and also the statements White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, which we've been hearing Kanye speak throughout social media on the statement of White Lives Matter has been kind of what's been out there lately. He's been having it on t-shirts, he's been having it around, right? White Lives Matter. Now this is something that I've actually spoken about before, never really on camera, never really on YouTube. I made a Google Slides presentation actually on this for one of my classes a long time ago, and I just think it's important for us to understand here. Number one, first things first, okay, with the statement of White Lives Matter, because Kanye has been or the statement All Lives Matter, to be honest, I can kind of, they're kind of both are sort of just trying to dilute another topic at the end of the day. All Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, it's kind of trying to dilute Black Lives Matter, which was mainly the thing that was started first, right? I think both kind of are created for the same purpose, right? So listen, White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, right? First things first, both statements are true. White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, they're true. White lives do matter. All lives do matter, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not true, but this is the thing. It's the obvious. You know what I'm saying? Both of these statements present the obvious. White lives matter, everybody's lives matter, right? This is presenting the obvious. As we all have said that for so long, and as we all know, is we are God's creation. All of our lives matter, right? This is true. This is honest. That makes sense. But the problem is the heart behind us when people are saying it. The heart behind people that are saying white lives matter, and the heart behind the people that are saying all lives matter. Listen, right? These are the obvious statements. However, when it comes to society and the place that we live in and the perspective, like America, I'm just saying it truthfully, to be honest, it's not always it's not built to be made obvious, and it's obviously not even built in the way where Black lives do matter, where we live, the way that we're living. You know what I'm saying? This is just the truth of the matter here. So when we say Black Lives Matter, when people say Black Lives Matter, people are saying Black Lives Matter because there's a reason to be saying it at the moment. There's injustices that are happening towards Black people. There's injustices that are happening towards the Black community. I've talked about some of these things before. Listen, you see some of the music that's out here that's inspiring people, made by Black artists. It's inspiring the Black community. The stuff that people end up growing up in predominantly Black communities, and the lack of opportunities and the things happening, the lack of a support system because of what's happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? What's happened in the days of slavery. And I just want to say my perspective on this too very, very quickly. I feel like sometimes people get it twisted, like, other people also grow up in bad neighborhoods, in bad places, and low incomes. It's the truth. But listen, when it comes to the past also does have a level of impact on the future. Wherever your ancestors or your people, whoever started, developing an income, you may have that to sit back on your back. You may have, if you are, I'm just being honest here, if you are a white person, you will likely have some sort of income on your back, maybe from your grandparents, somebody back then who was making money at the time. Sadly, and what sucks is within the history of Black people, as we know slavery was happening, there's not a level of build or income, things along those lines that were truly able to properly happen at the time because of all the injustices that were going on in society, which does impact the opportunities, if you are black, that maybe your parents may have had, and then also your grandparents may have had, to be able to sit back. This is why a lot of people, and this is why black communities end up or this is why, dangerous places, you know what I'm saying, and places with a low income are, usually predominantly comprised of black people, because of the history that's impacted the opportunities that people were able to have at the moment's notice for having an income. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that I just heard a mad loud noise. I don't know what the frick that was. But anyways, this is just me putting out something that I think is important now that we need to talk about. So when we say white lives matter, all lives matter, when people say this, it's almost like diluting the injustices that have happened towards the people that have worked to make a difference, towards what people are inspired to do nowadays, what people are led to do, leading by sin, leading by, you know what I'm saying, drug dealing, making crazy music about this stuff. So like weed, alcohol, trying to, please think women. This is stuff that we hear in the most popular and in the most just big music that is made by black men and black women. This is just the truth. This is what we hear, right? You know what I'm saying? It's jacked up, and I'm just saying it to say it's an injustice towards a lot of young black kids who are working to, grow. It's stopping them from being able to find what's truly within the purpose in their heart that God has for them. So that is already an important injustice, the mental injustice, the mental slavery that people have to go through. And then also when it comes to money and the background and the things like where people grow up at and what happened within their history that makes it so they're not able to have a stable income to be able to get out of the situation that they're in. College, you know what I'm saying, is not easy to be able to have provided for you when you're not able to have no money, when you're not able to have nothing in the background from nobody else, to the point where, because I'm just saying it isn't, I'm thinking of this situation. If you have a mom who was working to provide for the family at the moment's notice with a 9-to-5 that she had, which happens a lot in black families, you know what I'm saying. Sadly, there's a lot of also black fathers that get in a position where they end up not being ready to have children because of all of the sexual movements that were happening and all of the stuff that was being promoted at the time. Like, sex was always the greatest thing. People have children, and then it's like men have children. They don't truly know how to make that work and make that happen. They end up leaving. This is stuff that happens. We already know this. This doesn't have to just be a stereotype, but something that we have to understand past the funniness and the stereotypes. This happens where black fathers then end up leaving the family. Then black mothers are made where they have to, or are in a position where they have to then be able to provide for their family. So they end up working that job, working that thing, because they have to be able to provide for the children. But then the children might not have the position to where they're able to provide themselves for college. So they may go to other things that aren't good, whether it's drug dealing, whether it's just dangerous stuff, whether you're I don't know. I mean, you hear about the things that are really the only options that you may have. It could be basketball. It could be the same exact rap that's jacked up and that's not cool. These are things that people have comprised and developed and made to try and be able to make a way out of what they've grown up in. But sometimes, a lot of the time, it's not the best. It's not the good stuff. You see people that's out here doing stuff that's jacked. You see people that's out here killing. You see people that's out here drug dealing. You see people that's out here getting in positions and being in positions where they fall in love with this kind of stuff too. And then it ends up leading them in a position where it could be fatal. So I'm just saying, these are some of the injustices that happen towards black people in the place in where we live in America. And I don't even fully know what happens in other countries, but just understanding the perspective, because listen, I'm not from the worst of the worst at all, but I've definitely seen the perspective and stuff that's gone on where I've been at, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to say it here and now that injustices happen towards black people, and now dragging it back to all lives and white lives matter. When we say all lives matter and white lives matter, guess what we're saying? We're basically saying that, why are we saying black lives matter? There's no reason for it. That's ignorance right there. That's ignorance to say white lives matter, all lives matter, and just try to dilute an injustice that's happening and going on. It's like sitting here and when you say white lives matter, it's some obvious junk, you know what I'm saying? It's like to where we live at, know what I'm saying, is some obvious junk. It's different in society. When you're a white person, you end up having more privileges, more openness, more likely more income within your background, more opportunities because of the way that you look. This is just, I'm telling you, this is how the society is. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. And less mental slavery, considering, you know, the people that you see and you have to look up to might be scientists, might end up being librarians, might end up being like the inventor of this, or people that make people like, you know what I'm saying, that make Apple or Tesla or whatever, these huge big companies that we know of now. You know what I'm saying? We don't like, it's not enough out in the media that are truly black creatives. You know what I'm saying? That's not put out in the media. That's not brought out in the media, because there is a stigma and stereotype being pushed out against black people, that black people are these ways that are only being portrayed in the media. So then it ends up being a thing where that's all that you have to look up to as a black person, and you end up being put in terrible positions that were just developed from your mental slavery. So it exists. This type of stuff, it does exist and is brought out. And so when we sit here and we say all lives matter, white lives matter, this is the truth. I'm saying that's the truth, but but the heart behind it is that you're diluting injustices. The heart behind it is that you're trying to push away the injustices that black people go through in the society that we live in. So I'm trying to just say it right now, is saying, like, listen, that stuff has got to like go. You know what I'm saying? You can state the obvious all you want, and listen, I don't know what goes behind the Black Lives Matter organization. Some people say it ends up being like where it actually pays white people, and it's kind of been twisted in a way, the organization itself. I don't really know, but the statement Black Lives Matter itself deserves to be spread around, because there deserves to be some understood injustice that should be changed. And when you say white lives matter or all lives matter, you're just trying to dilute that injustice because you want to be heard, you want to be understood, you want your problems or pain to be understood, but yet it's not your turn, bro. Listen, people, the most injustices that are happening in this country, that are happening overall, just in the society that we're living in, are towards black people, and that is what needs to be addressed and understood at a moment's notice. Don't try to dilute that because you feel like you have problems. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, yo, we need to start understanding that this is a problem in society. What black people are inspired towards because of other people making this content and what their background is and that type of stuff needs to be understood and talked about. The more that we try and talk about just all lives matter and stuff, the more that those injustices get diluted and they get forgot about. You know what I'm saying? They end up being diluted, forgot about, and like it's basically like where society can just leave black people to stay predominantly at the bottom. I mean, am I lying here? Am I wrong? Or am I telling the truth here? You know what I'm saying? Because I could keep talking right now, because I'm honestly like, I'm sick of that junk. You know, I'm sick of it, and I'm sure a lot of people get sick of it. You know what I'm saying? People get hurt, people get, you know, whatever. I'm trusting in God in what I'm speaking about today. I'm trusting in God because I'm here to make a difference, the best difference that I can possibly make, and I'm done sitting here allowing for this type of stuff to just be pushed away to the side like I'm not trying to make a difference in society here. I don't care what you look like, I don't care who, what, whatever it is. Advocating for change is important here, and I'm not going to sit here and just let all of this type of stuff going on in society just be the way that it is without saying some junk. I'm not going to sit here and not say some junk about the injustices and craziness going on that's happening towards black people. You know what I'm saying? It's jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know, I'm sure it happens where people, listen, I come from a perspective where, you know, as a mixed kid, you know, it wasn't a lot of understanding or knowing where to go when it came to inspiration. But you know what I'm saying? What I did end up doing, especially because, you know, when you're a mixed kid and you're growing up in a predominantly black area, you end up looking up to to black artists or people that are successful, where you want to be able to make it out. So you're going to look at the people that could help inspire you. You know what I'm saying? That happens. And then you end up being put in a position where you think that certain stuff is cool. You see, you know, the most popular black people in social media. You see the way that they're carrying themselves. You see the way that they're pushed out to carry themselves. You see these black women making this music. I mean, I'm just being honest here. This black woman that's making this music where they're trying to it's like they're trying to inspire and bring out, you know, that black women are sex objects. It's jacked up, but it's the truth. It's going on, and I've spoken about this before, actually, in my old interview that I did beforehand. This is the truth here. This is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You see these big popular, like, young, you should be women of color that be out here carrying and treating themselves to their bodies like this. Do you think that stuff is do you think that that's not trying to push out something here? And then you want to look and then say like, you know, that you think that type of stuff is not cool, or you want to be a person, you want to be a man and say that stuff is not cool, but you don't like it when women do that. But then you'll look at all these other women that are, you know, on the media, they're shaking their booty, and it's like, you know, obviously people are gonna think, dang, that's what guys like, right? It's a whole problem going on, yo. It's a whole problem going on. We gotta start trying to change the what am I trying to say, agenda. We gotta start trying to change the narrative. You know, we got to start bringing out better. We got to start trying to inspire our communities and say, listen, you can do whatever you truly want to do. God will put things on your heart. You know what I'm saying? You can do some great things out there, yo. You can do some great things. You can inspire society. You can, whatever you want to do, make great music. You can make great videos. You can draw. You can become a librarian. You can become a scientist. You can become an actor. You can become a doctor and a nurse. Whatever you could do anything, yo. You could do freaking anything that you put your mind to. And when people sit here and make it seem like that's not the truth, you know what I'm saying? You see all of these, like, all the popular black celebrities just happen to be like either rappers, or happen to be basketball players, or happen to be you know what I'm saying, known for whatever their past was with drug dealing and stuff. Like, this is just what we hear about, and then we think it's cool. Like, that's what it is, because that's the media. The media tries to twist that junk to make it look like that's all that it is. Make it look like that's all that it is for black people, but there's so much more out there, yo. There's so much freaking more. You know what I'm saying? So if I talk to anybody today, I don't care if I'm talking to just any young kid. I don't care if I'm talking to a young black kid who has the wrong influences or has the right influences. I don't care who I'm talking about. You can do anything that you put your freaking mind to. You hear me? You can do anything. I don't care what nobody got to freaking say to you. You can do anything that you want. You could do anything. And I'm talking about, don't be sitting here trying to think that it has to be bad, that it has to be some bad junk, that it has to be robbing, stealing, killing. It doesn't have to be none of that junk. It don't. You know what it can be? It can be inspiring. It can be anything you want to do, yo. I didn't sit here and start making Christian music and Christian videos to sit here and try and dilute the problems. You know what I'm saying? And tried to I stopped myself from slaving myself to a system where I was trying to chase views. That's a whole different story. But I stopped myself from doing that. And though that content that I used to make, you know what I'm saying, I used to make like old gaming content. And just because that was where the intent was in the content, doesn't mean those aren't nice old memories for me. But at the end of the day, you don't have to slave yourself to a system, is all that I'm truly trying to say here, to try and make a difference. Go to school. I don't really agree with all the school system either, but sometimes you have to walk through the system to make a difference in it. You know what I'm saying? So what I'd say is, listen, go to school, walk through this, stick with God and what you're doing, but always do things that you do for good. Don't sit here and try and do things because other people are trying to make you have to do it, or because you think there's no other way. There's always another way. That's why God is here for us. That's what God is here for us. There's always a way outside what the world has to tell us. You know what I'm saying? There always is one. There always is one. Frick what anybody else got to say. There always is another way. So that's my whole point. Let's stop diluting Black Lives Matter. Like, it's not an important statement to make and just sit here and we're just sitting here and, making all this white lives matter, all lives matter, all of this stuff. Okay, please, everybody. I mean, I'm not, I don't know who's really going to see this, but I'm going to put this out there. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I thank you. God bless you. You have an amazing morning, evening, and night. You take care. Thank you. Peace.